This episode is brought to you by our patrons. Thank you so much for being a patron. And if you're not one and you'd like to become a patron, just jump on over to patreon.com/LunchTimeTechTalk. Now, on with our show. Hey, Chad.
What's up, bro?
I had an extended weekend.
Yes, you did.
Again. I'm on a roll. This is the third weekend in a row that I haven't had to work on a Monday.
Do you have enough vacation to never work on Monday?
No. I don't.
Because a lot of holidays end up on Monday, too.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't think I do. It would be amazing, though.
You don't have like 40 weeks? Or 40 days?
I don't know how
That'd
many
be a lot of days.
I get 3 weeks.
So you get 15 plus 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that. I wish I had more, but they won't give me more.
It's true.
So, my weekend started off with Lexi's birthday.
Oh,
she
yeah.
is now
Happy birthday,
14.
Lexi. She's old.
It's insane. I have a child that's 14.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel real.
She's in 8th grade, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dude. Weird.
I know she's going.
It's the last semester of her middle school career.
Yeah.
She's going to be in high school next year?
She actually has a meeting today. She had it this morning about high school volleyball.
That's fun.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. She's getting excited about that. But then we drove to Kansas City that Friday evening, and we went to another volleyball tournament. It was intense.
It was camping?
Not intense. It was intense.
Oh, all one word. Gotcha.
You say that every time I say that word. But no, it was so good. It was the girls on her team and Lexi played amazing. I mean, they put all their heart and soul into it.
It sounds like they didn't get first place this time.
No, they got second by 2 points. No, 3 points.
Stronger competition?
We beat every team and the team that we played in the end beat every team in their pool. So there's 2 pools.
Okay.
We beat them all. They beat them all. We came together. They beat us in the first set by 2 or 3.
Okay.
And then we came back in the second.
Played to 25, right?
Yes.
Okay.
In the second set, we beat them by 5. And in the third set, you played to 15. In this particular tournament, some tournaments go to 25. But in this third set, you play to 15. We had 12. They had 15.
Dang.
It was so close.
So in totality, they beat you by 0.
Yeah. Sometimes tournaments do wind up going by points.
Yeah.
But this one, it was
Dang.
the final.
If you had played to 25, the girls could have rallied.
Yeah, they could have. They were doing really, really good, and they actually had the lead for a while, and then you know how it is. You get on a roll, and then all of a sudden the other team gets on a roll.
Yeah.
They got on a roll
At just the right time.
at just the right time.
Yep.
It was intense. Not intense. Intense.
No, I can hear the difference now.
Okay. And then on Monday, I took the day off, hang out with my dog, and do some stuff around the house. And I worked on my trail.
So, this is a little thing I like to, like a little game I like to play with myself.
Mm-hmm.
If I have a day off where everyone else works, so like what you had on Monday, whatever I do that day, I technically got paid to do. So I like to call myself a professional whatever I'm doing.
Yeah.
So, on Monday, you were a professional trail builder.
And YouTuber.
And YouTuber.
Yeah, I created
Nice.
a YouTube video.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, so I did that.
Every now and then I'm a professional mountain biker.
Yeah,
Sometimes I'm a professional runner.
yeah. I like this idea.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with that
It's
from
fun.
now on.
It's fun.
I'm a professional sleeper.
Sometimes I'm that. Sometimes I'm a professional housekeeper.
Yeah, that happens to me too every once in a while.
Yeah.
So what'd you do on your weekend?
So, Friday night, we've been going a lot, kind of since the holidays started.
Mm-hmm.
And not every single weekend, but it feels like most weekends. And a couple weekends ago, we were cleaning up, getting ready for a house guest, and then, kind of the same thing. This weekend, well, last weekend was the holiday weekend too, and so we did some different stuff. But this weekend, like Friday night, my wife was like, do we have anything planned tomorrow? And I was like, no, thank God. And so we didn't do anything. And it was great.
Nice. Those are good days.
But I didn't sleep Friday night either.
Mm.
And so it ended up being really good that we didn't have anything planned because she woke up, they go to bed about 7.
Mm-hmm.
She woke up at 8:30, at 9:30, and at 10:30. And at 10:30, I was headed to bed. My wife was like, I'm just going to go in there and I'll rock her for a bit because we have a rocking chair in the nursery. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go to bed. And she's like, that's fine. And so I get up the next morning when Lucas starts crying, and her and Emma are still in the living room. I was wondering if already in the living room or still, and it was still.
Ugh.
So she said I rocked her last night for a little while, and she just wasn't having it, so we went out to watch TV, because normally that helps her, and then she'll go lay back down after an hour or so. Never. And so she said, I know I fell asleep some here and there, and she must have too, being Emma, but she goes, every time I woke up and looked at her, she was awake watching TV.
That sucks.
And so when I got up, I was like, okay, why don't you go to sleep? I got the kids this morning.
Yeah.
And so she kind of got up for the day around 10, but I don't think she really slept that night. So she got like 4 or 5 hours of sleep.
Ugh.
And so, but Emma made it to her like 12:30 nap, just like normal.
Yeah.
So she must have slept at some point during the night.
Yeah.
But she's been normal the last 2 days. But it's crazy. That totally wrecks a weekend.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Sunday was weird because there was no football on. There's been football on every Sunday for the last 19 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But the Super Bowl's this weekend.
That is this weekend.
The Chefs versus the Gold Rushers.
Ooh.
You know?
Sounds crazy.
Yeah. So
I'll be watching it.
I'm nervous.
You are a big fan.
Yeah. My mom texted and asked if there was any chance that we might come and watch the Super Bowl at her house, or did we have other plans? And I said, no, thank you. And no, we're not going to any parties. And no, we're not inviting anybody over. Like, I
have to deal with this by myself.
Yeah.
You're that big of a fan.
And so I told my wife that.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, is it okay if the kids and I are home? And I was like, yes.
She's like, dang, I don't feel welcome in my own house.
I was like, well, that's not what I meant.
No, you better leave.
Yeah.
No,
leave. I need you to go.
Well, what did you want to talk about this week?
Electric delivery vans.
And I've got one update about Apple and their TV service and the negotiation that's going on. Other than that, I don't have a lot.
Me neither.
It's
winter, man.
It
There's
is,
nothing
man.
going on.
You know, I look at the news articles every day, and it's just, I feel like all the news places are in the same boat, right? Like they're just scrapping around, like writing these little articles that is just like, this isn't super interesting.
It's not super interesting, or it's not really enough to talk about.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, I mean, we're out here for you guys, but we're struggling with content.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna pick up.
One of these days, Tim Cook will just, ring up our phone.
Mm-hmm. He will.
Hey, there's this thing coming out.
Hey, dudes.
We'd like you to announce it for your Thursday podcast.
Yeah.
But until then, we're left reading the news. And there's not a lot.
It's not a lot. So let's talk about not a lot.
So this is a catch-22 thing. Like, on the one hand, I'm glad that you're also not finding anything because it doesn't make me feel as bad.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I really need you to find something.
I know. And I've been struggling really hard with it because it's not that, like I said, it's not that I'm not finding things. It's just,
where's the angle?
Yeah. It's not super exciting.
Sure.
Now we got, like you said last week, we've got Super Bowl, which, I mean, it's not technology, but of course we need to talk about it because it is what it is.
It is what it is.
But then the Samsung event's coming up, so we'll have that to talk about.
Yeah.
And then shortly after that, I'm sure we'll get some Apple news.
Yeah,
So,
it's going to pick up.
It will. So do you want to talk about the
Electric
vans
delivery vans. Yes.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it. Welcome back to Lunchtime Tech Talk. I'm Chad.
And I'm Mike. So, electric delivery vans?
Yeah. Literally, the article that I read, the first line is not as sexy as cars, ... Which is how you kind of felt when on the other side of the music when you were like, so I guess we're going to talk about electric delivery vans. But no. So we talked about Amazon. A couple months ago, maybe. But anyway, this article is from Robinhood Snacks. And it says, maybe not as sexy, but maybe more formidable. And so they were talking about how the shiny stories with Tesla and fancy new electric cars are like what get the news buzz. But the thing that might actually really push the technology forward is going to be vans, because big companies are starting to realize their importance. So IKEA, DHL, AT&T, and Amazon have built an alliance to pressure EV producers to make electric delivery vans kind of, one, affordable and scalable, so that you can have a large fleet of them. Hyundai and Kia just invested $110 million in an electric delivery vehicle startup that they're calling Arrival. So, Amazon bought theirs from Rivian, or they put in their order.
Right.
Hyundai and Kia is obviously trying to get in the market by making their own company. So the Rivian order is the largest vehicle order ever, which we talked about. That was back in September, so that was more than a couple months ago.
Wow.
Time flies, man.
It really does.
But that's obviously part of their pledge to become carbon neutral, which we talked about with Microsoft, how they're going to be carbon negative.
Yeah.
So I read some more on that. They're going to be carbon negative by a date, and by 2050, they're hoping to undo all of the carbon that they've emitted since their startup in 1975.
Oh, wow.
So that's sort of their goal with the negative thing. And then obviously past that, everything is just kind of bonus. But, pausing. Long pause. Sorry about this. So yeah, it says the biggest shift in electric may not come from consumers buying individual cars. It may come from companies buying work vehicles. For instance, the new alliance, and hopefully all that technology filters down to consumers, which that filter down approach is kind of like bike parts. They make Red and Dura-Ace for the racers and the people who have the money. And then 3 years from now, we're riding Dura-Ace if you buy a new bike.
Right.
And it's 105.
Yeah.
It's just not called Dura-Ace.
Right.
Because Dura-Ace has something new now.
Right.
So anyway, it's not super exciting or super sexy, but
hey, you know what?
But the large companies are trying to push it forward, and it's not the manufacturers pushing it forward. It's the demand from the businesses. And I don't know. Both ways of driving technology are good. So it's good when someone comes up with something new, like Apple did with the first iPhone, where they put your camera and your media player and your phone all in one thing, and made it good. Yeah, not just, hey, we did it. It's all together. But it's good. Yeah, like sometimes it's good when a company does that, and I think that's what Tesla's doing. Yeah, they're pushing it themselves, but it's also good when the community demands it, because manufacturers are going to be more willing to step up and put out the capital outlay because they know they have a demand. And it's also, the businesses themselves are telling you, these are the specs that we want. This is what we want. Right. And that makes it less scary to build too.
Yeah. You're not just building something hoping somebody buys in on
right.
it. Somebody's
it's
already
like,
bought in on it and they just went, this is what we want.
Yeah. It's like as a builder, if you approach a builder and say, hey, here's the house I want to build, can you build it? And they go, yeah, versus just building a spec home.
Yeah, just building a
and
house
hoping
they sell it.
You make it generic enough that maybe someone will like it, but it's never perfect
right.
for anybody.
Yeah.
You know, but it checks enough boxes that you jump in.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. It's good.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's great. I'll be curious to see how well all of these EV manufacturers figure out this battery thing.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of demand for electric vehicles, so there's going to be a lot of demand for batteries.
So on a sort of personal note, the company we work for has a couple of electric buses on order that are coming in next year.
Yeah.
And so right now, we're looking at, in the bus barn, where to put the charger. Mm-hmm. Because once you mount it, it's kind of there.
Yeah.
It's not really a movable thing.
Yeah.
And the batteries are on the top of the bus.
Oh, really?
Instead of in the floor like they are with cars.
That's crazy. That would think that would make it top heavy, but it probably doesn't.
So that was, okay. That was my first thought, too. And it is top heavy.
It's a bus.
It's a bus. But the buses have to sit really low to the ground because they have to be ADA compliant.
Okay.
They have to be able to kneel down to curb height so that you can ingress and egress if you're, not able-bodied. And so they put the batteries on top.
Well, they're probably easier
and
to
so
maintain.
They built yes.
Yeah.
This is the exact conversation I had with someone else, because as you think about it, you come to all these different realizations, and it's probably better for, Springfield is notorious for flooding in the downtown area.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's better not to drive through standing water with batteries in your floor.
Yeah, doesn't sound right, Chad.
It's probably better if they're on top.
Yeah.
But it adds 1.5 foot of height to the top of the bus, and there's sort of a fairing. Is that what the thing on a motorcycle is called?
A little Humpty Hump?
Yeah, there's a little thing, kind of curvy in the front, curvy in the back, and then there's just batteries the whole length. 35-foot bus, that's a lot of batteries.
A lot of batteries.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be neat to see those things roll around.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll be curious to see how the city feels about them and how our company feels about them after a year of use.
Yeah.
That'll be okay, how good are these things?
Yeah.
And it'll be great if they're impressed with them.
Right. So it's interesting. The engine manufacturer is Cummins, which, is famously diesel.
Right.
But it's interesting that it's not, random electric engine maker X.
Or
that
GE,
you've never heard of.
Or something,
GE would make sense to me. That's a big company. I've heard of GE. I like that Cummins is a big company. I've heard of them.
Yeah.
They understand engines.
I wonder if Cummins makes train motors.
Because GE does.
Because trains run off of electric motors. They just have a generator that's diesel or it's not coal anymore.
Get
diesel.
out of town.
Did you not know that?
No.
Yeah, that's how those things work. It's an electric motors.
It's just like your car.
Well, kind of. Yeah. Yeah.
It runs on the electric motor, but
Yes.
there's a diesel generator, usually diesel.
Yeah.
Generator that powers the...
Yeah.
I did not know
Now all
that.
the train enthusiasts are probably
screaming
at the screen right now.
We had plenty of stuff to talk about today.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
I thought that a diesel train was just diesel. I thought that it was a 50-piston engine that...
I believe that's how they get so much torque out of them.
That makes sense.
If I am completely wrong, then I have been told wrong.
Now, let's just talk out of our ass. I like it.
I am 99% sure that this is how these modern trains work. But
I like it, even if it's...
You know what? If I'm wrong, then I had fun talking about it.
I'll put in a footnote. There's at least one train out there that runs like that.
Okay.
I'll find it. I will find it for you.
It's made by Cummins.
Probably.
So I just had basically some news that I thought was pretty interesting. Apple has been in preliminary talks with MGM about an acquisition. To me, this sounded like a pretty big deal if they go through with it.
Yeah.
I mean, MGM, from what I remember, is pretty big. They claim they're worth like $10 billion.
They would all of a sudden have so much inventory to put on Apple TV+.
Mm-hmm. Like James Bond and RoboCop.
Oh, like those?
Yep. Those are pretty big.
Or Robert Cop, as I accidentally called him over the weekend.
Robert?
Or I saw it somewhere. I don't remember. But my wife and I were just talking about this over the weekend. Oh,
they have Live PD also. And The Handmaid's Tale, which is on Hulu, but was a very, very popular show. I only watched part of it. Kind of bothered me.
The Handmaiden or The Handmaid's Tale?
The Handmaid's Tale?
Okay.
Is there two different shows?
There is. So there's a movie called The Handmaiden. And then there's the show that you watched on Hulu called The Handmaid's Tale.
Okay, so I was right.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, apparently this could be worth about $10 billion, which I believe, if, let's just say, theoretically, they do acquire MGM for $10 billion, I believe that would be the biggest acquisition that Apple has ever made. Apple is notorious for acquiring companies, but not for a lot. Beats, I think, was their biggest at $3 billion. I think it was $3 billion. It definitely wasn't
Dre
10.
a billionaire.
Yeah, he was already very...
He was already very
wealthy.
rich, but that sure helped.
But yeah, this would be pretty cool if they acquired him. It would definitely give a huge library, which Apple doesn't have right now.
Yeah.
They don't have a library of their own.
So everything that a lion roars at the end of could be available for Apple TV+.
That's right. That is the MGM thing. So, looks like there's a number of companies, they say, that are in the running for this. Can you name the next one? It's not Apple?
Looking to buy them?
Yeah.
Disney.
Netflix.
Yeah,
Netflix is going to go... I wouldn't doubt it if Netflix just goes bonkers and just is like, you know what, we'll give you $20 billion.
Screw all the rest of you people trying to out-content us.
Yes. Because, they lost big stuff this summer.
You know what I don't like about Netflix that I do like about Disney+?
What's that?
Netflix vaults things, just like Disney used to.
Oh.
And it's not for a set amount of time, but like for this week or for this month or until February 3rd, like you might be able to watch a certain thing and then it just goes away.
Just goes away.
And then 3 months later, it's back in your list again because you never took it off your list because you never watched it. But now it's back. And I don't like that.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. If it's there, it needs
if you're
to be
gonna
there.
be direct, I was gonna say direct TV. If you're gonna be on demand, that's the word I was looking for. If you're gonna be on demand, like, be on demand.
Yeah.
Let me watch whenever I want. I don't know.
I agree.
It bothers me.
No, that bothers me now.
Good.
Thanks.
Crusade with me.
So yeah, that will be very interesting to see what happens. Maybe there'll be a battle between Apple and Netflix to get MGM.
Maybe they'll have a cage match.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah.
Tim Cook, cage matching whoever the person is of Netflix.
Whoever.
Sorry, bro.
Sorry, bro.
So that's all I had for this week.
That's a good update. I like that.
Yeah. Did you have anything else? Anything pop in your head?
Yeah. Oh. I don't think I talked about it on the podcast. You and I talked about it, so we're going to revisit it.
Oh, okay.
When Apple Watch Series 5 came out, I went goo goo gaga for it.
You drooled during the keynote?
I drooled. I, at the same time, roughly around the same time, got my Apple Card. And so I was really excited because, 3%.
You're like, Apple.
And then I didn't buy it.
Yes.
Because I was even thinking about selling my Garmin and offsetting some of the costs and all that stuff, right? Well, last year and in years prior to this, our work would do 50% reimbursement up to $50
Yeah,
on
which is nice.
Wearable tech, basically.
Basically
trackers.
like trackers for fitness.
Yeah, and they count Apple Watch in that reimbursement. Well, now it's $100. And so that's added bonus.
That's a huge bonus.
And so I was like, okay, well, I'm glad I didn't buy my Apple Watch. Now if I want to buy it this year, I can get back an extra $50. Right? And so that's cool. But also, me and the fam were at Target the other day, and they have a pretty nice Apple display. They've got other stuff out too, but they've got a nice Apple display. And so I was actually looking at the watch, because I've never really just like held one in my hands and played with it and scrolled through all of the complications and messed with the crown and all of that stuff, right? And so I'm doing that. My daughter's sitting in the cart, and she just starts going crazy on the screen face, just clicking and swiping and everything, right? Yeah. And so I was like, maybe 20 months old is not the time for Dad to get an Apple Watch, because they love my watch now. And it's not touchscreen, but they'll slap the face and they'll push all the buttons, and they like hearing it beep, but it also lights up and they can see the screens change and all of that kind of stuff. Well, if they can just swipe through stuff, I feel like, because if it's on your wrist, it's unlocked.
Right.
And so it would just be there available for them to click into anything anytime, because I'll hand them my phone, but I'll close it.
Right.
And they'll play with the buttons and they'll scroll through the notifications and all of that kind of stuff. But they can't do anything.
Right.
They placed an emergency call to a 30-digit phone number one time, but it obviously didn't go through.
Right. Yeah.
You know? And so, like, that's the worst they can do.
Right.
On my phone if it's locked.
Yes.
Take a bunch of pictures. They'll do that accidentally sometimes.
That's fun.
Yeah.
I pick up your phone every once in a while and take pictures.
You've never done that.
Oh, well, have you gone through your phone?
Literally never. Yeah. And you might start doing it now, but you've literally never done that in the past. But anyway, so I don't know. That's where I'm at currently on the Apple Watch. I want one.
Yes.
I do believe I will own one. I don't know when.
I started thinking about this after you said that, and I was like, what is a solution for that? And there is a solution for you, Chad.
What?
There is a solution.
Okay.
So
do tell.
On your Apple Watch, whenever you scroll up from the bottom to the top, you get this like
it's just
control
like your
center.
Yeah, it's just like on your phone. You got your Wi-Fi and all that kind of stuff.
On Series 3 and up, I think it is, there is this water mode, which essentially all it does is it deadens the screen.
Oh, okay.
So you can use it in water. Like it'll light up, right? So it'll go black, but if I touch it, it'll light up, but nothing functions. This button doesn't do anything. It says
even the crown doesn't do anything.
This thing doesn't do anything. And to actually get it to work, you have to spin the crown quite a bit. And then you hear that little sound.
Okay.
And what that sound is actually doing is that sound is not designed to tell you, hey, your watch is unlocked. It's designed to spit water out the speaker.
Oh.
So that's how they clear out the speaker if you go swimming. So it doesn't sound all muffled.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I thought about that and I was like, yeah, you could do that. I mean, there's downfalls, right?
Right.
The downfall is that your watch is locked, and now if you're in a quiet place and you want to, it's like you're this awkward guy with this beep going off on yours, but you're not always around your kids, right? At work and all that stuff.
Yeah, no, there's a majority of the day that it could be unlocked.
And you might find yourself, as your kids progressively get older, let's say you don't buy it right now. Let's say you wait till the 6 comes out this fall, which hopefully will probably happen, and you can get a good deal on a 4 or a 5 or whatever.
Yeah.
They're going to be, 8 months older. They might lose interest in this. Yeah. But if they don't, and you're around them, and then they find out, oh my gosh, they're touching all this stuff, you can just scroll up and set that thing in water mode, and they can slap the living tar out of it.
Nice.
So there's an option for you.
Is there something like that for my phone? Because we went to dinner and they were just kind of not having it, so like I said, they're 20 months old. This is the second time we've been to dinner and they've been rough.
Yeah.
Like, we go out all the time.
Right.
And they're good.
Yeah.
And so we gave them each a phone. We put it on Netflix and, like, we let them go, right?
Yeah.
And for a little while, they just watched and ate their food.
Mm-hmm.
But then eventually they wanted to start tapping. Is there a way to lock down your screen but still have it open and playing a thing?
There is a way.
How do you do that?
You can actually go into one of the settings, and there
like
is...
the gear setting?
There is a... Actually, you know what? You just triple click. Go into an app and triple click the power button. The side button.
Okay. Let me actually get something up and going.
Just don't play the sound. I don't know what the legality is on that.
Right. Okay, so something's playing.
Uh-huh.
Triple click.
Okay, you might actually have to turn it on. You might actually have to turn that on because there is a setting inside settings, maybe under parental controls. I'm not really sure. It might either that or it might be under accessibility that you can turn on a triple click and basically it locks it into the app.
Gotcha.
And so it was designed specifically for that. So you could hand it to your kid and they can't get out of that app. They have to, I mean, they could if they knew how to triple click and get out of it, but I can't remember what that's called, like guidance control or I can't really remember. But
there's a thing.
There is a thing and you should try that. See
Guided
if that works
access?
for you. Guided access, yes. So turn that on. So you turn that thing on and then it probably gives you some extra stuff in there.
Yeah, so there's passcode settings, time limits, accessibility shortcut. So that's when you triple click the side button while guided access is enabled. Your accessibility shortcut settings will be displayed.
Yeah, so if you
Sick.
turn that on while they're having the phone and you go into the Netflix app or whatever app they're doing, those buttons no longer tapping the screen, exiting out, all that stuff. It doesn't function anymore unless you do the little thingy to get out of it. So yeah, Chad.
Looky there.
Look at that. No, I think you actually have to like hit the play button. I think it might lock it fully. So I don't even know if like play will work. Is it locking basically the whole thing down?
No. It wants me to circle the area that I want to be locked down.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so now... So, okay. So the part of the screen that they can't touch gets shaded out. See how it looks like there's kind of a film
there's a
on
little
it?
bit of screen on it.
And so my whole thing... So what it did is I triple clicked.
Uh-huh.
It had me enter my passcode. Mm-hmm. And then it shrunk my whole screen down so that if you wanted to circle the whole screen, you could.
Yeah.
Versus, like, if you just wanted to circle around the play and the fast forward, because I pulled up Netflix. Mm-hmm. If you just wanted to... Oh my gosh, this is great. So there's an app that we actually let them use called Magic Fingers. And it just has a whole bunch of different like shapes and patterns and stuff, and when they press a spot it will like do something, some animation or whatever. So if I circle the bottom of the screen where you can swipe to a different app and I circle the add button,
the add button,
if I circle those two things, then they can play to their heart's content. They can fully use the app, but they can't swipe out of it,
and they won't get frustrated because they exited their fun app and went and saw some stupid ad.
This is brilliant.
Yes.
Thank you, Mike.
Hey, no problem.
Look at us coming up with a full episode.
Look at all this fun stuff we found out.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm a fan.
I'm glad I could help.
I am too.
So, I guess that leaves us with Crazy Tech.
Crazy Tech.
Did you want to do some Crazy Tech?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Take me down to the Silicon Valley where the chips are small and the tech's so crazy. Oh, won't you please take me home, yeah.
Wow. Those are some chords, man. That was intense. I felt like I was in a concert.
I hope it sounds okay.
Oh,
It's probably too loud.
No, that's going to be amazing.
All right.
It's going to be amazing. Don't worry. I'll make it work.
Thanks, buddy. You're always there for me.
So, do you want to go first or do you want me to?
Sure, I'll go
I'm afraid you're
first.
going to steal mine.
I just talked about that. I'm not actually doing it.
Okay.
So I'm still going back to CES. There's a company called GrooveX who created the Lovot or the Lovot. Lovot is a combination of love and robot, and it's not a sex toy.
I was going to say, I was like, Chad, that sounds crazy, but do we want to go there?
So apparently in Japan, they really like the robot companion dogs.
Oh, okay.
And so what they've done is they've created this little guy. He's got like a felt lining.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a camera on top.
Kind of looks like a Teletubby.
Kind of looks like a Teletubby, a little bit.
But a baby Teletubby.
It says these furry little creatures are packed with tech. 50 sensors, a 360-degree half-sphere camera, a microphone, a thermal camera that distinguishes humans from objects. It all helps Lovot, or Lovot, act more like a human. It recognizes stimulation, so it laughs when it's tickled. It's happy when it's caressed. They also have like different outfits for it or whatever. But it's $3,000. So if you really need companionship, you know...
Who says money can't buy you happiness?
True. But I was looking at... what are they called? It's King Charles whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And a poodle. And I think they're...
Oh, dogs.
Yeah. A Cavapoo. A Cavapoo. King Charles Cavalier.
Oh my gosh.
So the Cavalier. Cav. Poodle. Poo. So they're super cute.
Yeah.
Right? And they're sort of curly haired like a poodle, but not quite as intense. They don't shed a lot. They're super soft. They're super smart.
Mm-hmm.
But they're like $1,600
Ooh.
as an 8-week-old dog.
Yeah.
And then all their food that, $3,000, it's not far off.
You just have to charge it. That's it.
Yeah.
It's like the food.
I get it.
It's cheaper.
It's cheaper.
Dog food could be expensive if that dog gets big. Is it bred with a full-size poodle?
No.
Oh, it's like a mini poodle?
The in-between size. So not the toy and not the standard 3-foot tall guy. But the
medium?
What's the middle one?
Medium poodle?
Toy miniature.
Miniature?
Toy miniature standard.
Okay.
I think is the
Well, now you know.
range. And if you don't know, now you know.
So now you can buy a Teletubby that has a lot of sensors and likes to be tickled.
Likes to be tickled.
For $3,000.
$3,000.
Hey, you know what?
No big deal.
If it makes you happy,
If it makes you happy,
then buy yourself a Teletubby.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see a lot more of that kind of stuff in the future.
Yeah.
Robot dogs and cats. Maybe a robot bear.
I still want... What's that little dog's name? Like the bomb squads and stuff use him. He can like run and do backflips, and if you kick him from the side, he doesn't fall over.
I watched a video on that just the other day. Adam Savage off of Mythbusters.
Yeah.
Has one now.
Really?
Yeah. What are those
from
called?
Boston something?
Boston Dynamics.
Yeah.
What is that called? Spot? It's Spot.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's Spot. But it was pretty interesting to watch him actually use it because it's almost like he had to kind of let it learn. I figured it would come like pre-taught because it's just like putting software in, but it would like had to learn how to walk up these rocks, but it learned really fast. Like it was catching itself.
Right.
And then it was just like, okay, I got it.
Right.
So he's going to play with it for like a year, I think. So I don't know if it's like on loan to him, but apparently you can program it and do all kinds of things with it.
Interesting. You need to start listening to Sleepwalkers.
Yeah, I do. I actually have that podcast, like,
do you?
In my queue.
You got it saved?
It's in there.
There was a what were they talking about? They were talking with a Washington Post writer. Washington Post is owned by Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Bezos has obviously got a lot of money,
Mm-hmm.
but they were looking at ways to generate multiple headlines for the same story. And then what they would do is, like, on their online subscription, their, front page story, if 3 different people opened the website at the same time, there might be 3 different headlines for a story, and whichever one got the most clicks, then all of a sudden, after 10 or 15 minutes, all of the stories across all the,
Mm-hmm.
would all have that one,
Mm-hmm.
because it's clickable.
Kind of
right?
like what Netflix does with cover art.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, obviously, they were building AI
Mm-hmm.
to figure all this out, but it's so interesting because the people who host the show obviously know a lot about AI,
Mm-hmm.
but they said that something like 80% of AI startup companies don't actually use any AI.
What?
Because on the front end, everything is human generated.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to set up the parameters for what is correct so that the computer can learn.
Mm-hmm.
And so you build the AI program, but then you also have to build a second program to tell it when it's wrong or whatever.
Okay.
And so, like, the second program goes in and tries to mess with it or whatever, or it just fact checks it. Because they were also talking about a voice recognition thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a guy host and a lady host. The lady went in and said like 1,000 lines or something, and they recorded her.
Mm-hmm.
And then they typed some lines in to be read by the voice mimicker.
Mm-hmm.
And basically the other program listened, and anytime it thought that it didn't match what she really sounded like, it would kick it out.
Oh, okay.
And then it would try again. And that's how the machine learning works.
Yeah.
And it can do that thousands of times a second until all of a sudden it's perfect. And then she listens back to her voice from a speaker.
Yeah.
And it's her,
But
but
not
she
her.
didn't say it.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
It's crazy.
Anyway, that was a big diversion. What's your crazy take?
Oh, so back in September, whenever the iPhone 11 came out,
Uh-huh.
there was a company called Filmic Pro that got up
yeah.
on the stage,
Yeah.
and they demoed a new thing that you could do with Apple's API of being able to use multiple cameras at the same time.
All 3 at once.
Yes. Or 4 in the iPhone 11 Pro and the Pro Max.
Oh, because you could have the front camera too.
Yes.
Right.
So in this, what turns out you can't use all of them at once. Right now you can only use 2 of them at once, and I don't know if that's a limitation of Apple's API, but they came out with, they have an app called Filmic Pro, which is $15.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where everybody thought it was going to actually be put into.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if something happened or what, or if they just want to get, maybe they got kickback from Apple or something to say, hey, we just want you to put this out there for everybody to use. But they came out with a free app called Doubletake.
Okay.
Completely free. And they say that they have no interest in doing in-app purchases at this time. So
it's just available.
right now it's free. I downloaded it. It's a little weird.
Surely Apple paid them.
That's what I'm thinking. Somebody had to... To me, it's an advantage for Apple to say, hey, we will pay you X amount of money to put your app out there for free because this is part of an API that we want people to be using, but we don't want to develop this app ourselves.
Right.
So they pay the company, I don't know, a couple $1,000,000, and it's cheaper than Apple actually developing it and having to support it.
Or buying the company and having the ongoing labor cost.
Yes.
Of keeping those people employed.
So that's all speculative. We don't know if that happened, but surely
they paid them something.
Hopefully they paid them something because this is really cool. I was playing around with this app this morning because it just came out today.
Okay.
And if you can't find it in the App Store, search for it on your iPhone or your iPad, and then you should be able to find it on Google, and then click a link and it'll take you into the App Store and actually be able to download it.
Doubletake is such a good name.
It really is. And it's Doubletake with all one word. And if you look at the description on the App Store, it's Doubletake by Filmic Pro. So that might help with the searching of it.
Okay.
But essentially what it is it's just a big screen with your camera on it. And there's a couple of icons in the corners. One of those icons lets you go into it and actually pick which cameras you want to use. So I played around with it and did my selfie camera and my wide lens camera. And it was really neat. I could see myself and I could see what was in front of me. And so they have another option to where you can do side by side. And whenever you do that, it records a video side by side of both of you. So if you wanted to do like an interview and you wanted it to be on a side by side screen, you could set your phone in between you and the person you're interviewing. And one would be looking at you, one would be looking at them, and it would be in one video clip.
That's so great.
But then they have a picture-in-picture mode, which you can swap the picture-in-picture. So one would be smaller than the other.
Yeah.
But then they have I can't remember what the word they use for it, but they basically have a mode. It looks like picture-in-picture, but it's really recording 2 separate video files, which is awesome.
So you could swap back and forth between the two whenever you wanted when you were editing.
Yes.
Because they're both recorded.
That's what I'm thinking. I use my iPhone all the time for filming stuff, and it would just be really cool to have this running and know that I've got a camera that's pointed at whatever I'm needing it to be pointed at, but I've also got it pointed at maybe it's on the other side. It might be where I'm standing, where maybe I want to step back real quick and just say something really quick about what I just did.
Right.
And I don't have to start and stop the recording.
Right. Or if you're watching the end of the Super Bowl and you're filming what's going on TV, but you also film your reaction because the Chiefs just won.
Yeah.
Now you've got both.
You've got the moment that happened, right? There was, I believe Apollo Zach said this on 9 to 5 Mac. He said he's been recording a lot of space stuff, so he's been watching rockets launch and stuff. And
you do.
Yeah, as you do, as a space fan. But he said at one point it would have been really awesome if he had this ability whenever he watched the first rocket he ever saw shoot up, because he was so excited.
Right.
And what he did, he actually recorded himself, but he had to use a separate device.
Right.
With that, he could have filmed it and actually watched his face as it was going up, pointed at him and pointed at the rocket.
It's so cool to be able to watch a thing and also watch yourself watching the thing.
Yeah.
Like that's cool. That's cool tech.
Yeah. I was like, this is really good.
Okay, so I searched for it just by typing Doubletake, one word. In my search, it was about 8 down in the App Store. It's a maroon logo with 2 cameras.
Yep.
And yes, it says Doubletake by Filmic Pro.
See, I didn't get it at all in my App Store. So what I think is happening is people are starting to search for it.
And it's moving up.
It'll be up at the top real quick because 9 to 5 Mac, YouTubers have been putting videos out this morning. There's been, I think TechCrunch had an article on it. So it's really expanding. There's a lot that are actually doing reviews on it. So you can actually look at those reviews and see what you think. You can actually change the frames per second, which is nice because I generally record in 24 frames per second. But you can increase it based off of what your camera is capable of.
Super cool.
So, but yeah, that's my crazy tech. So did you have anything else for our fans?
I don't think that I do.
Yeah. All right. I don't either.
The way you asked, I was like, do I have something?
Do I have something? Am I supposed to have something here?
Do you know of a thing that I have?
Chad, do you have something you want to tell everybody?
I do have something.
Okay.
Actually.
All right.
You can find our show notes on our website, on the internet, at LunchTimeTechTalk.com. You can also find links to get out to Spotify and Apple Podcasts and Podbean to listen to episodes. Or if you're reading through the show notes and you see something that interests you, there's always a listen to episode number whatever link in each bit of show notes.
Yep.
So you can click that and it'll take you out to Podbean. You can find us on social media, on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube at Lunchtime Tech Talk. You can find us on Twitter at Lunchtime Tech T1. You can find me at MSU Mac. That's MSUMACC. Mike, where are you at?
You can find me on Twitter at run_bike_Mike, and everywhere else, Zwift, YouTube, all that stuff, at RunBikeMike. All right.
Nice.
I think that'll do it for us.
I think so. Hey.
Yeah.
Subscriber count update. Where you at?
Oh, I'm still at 198. Was I at 198?
No, you
week?
were at 195.
Oh, yeah. So thank you to all those people that subscribed in between the last episode and this episode to my Run Bike Mike YouTube channel.
We're getting so close. 200.
It's coming.
2 bills.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. It's not a big milestone, but it's huge for me.
Yeah, man.
I'm pumped
0,
about
0.
it.
That's 2 zeros.
Yeah, so next week, maybe I can say I hit 200 subscribers on my YouTube channel.
Let's find out.
All right.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.